Well, then let's get into it. Welcome back to another Kicking Tables, Chris. It is such a pleasure to have you back on the show for our very first campaign
Thank you.
update. So, of course, you were on our show just a couple of weeks ago. Your Heroes of Thargos card game is has been launched on Kickstarter. How is the
That's right.
campaign doing right now? How do you
Well,
feel
look,
about it?
I mean, the people who jumped on board early, we feel they're really enjoying what's happening with the campaign because we're releasing a lot of updates, very regular updates, and we just want to make sure we expand that kind of following, and people can really get involved because we've had some really interesting feedback on the artwork. People love the artwork, for example, but some people were found it a little bit dark in some areas. So we've done an update today with some of the other kind of characters to show it's not
Okay.
just all doom and gloom
Okay.
in the
Good.
game setting. There is hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So we address that, and we've had a bunch of feedback, and we really respond. The content is then adapted and then and then released, so people can really kind of follow through the campaign and have a huge impact on what we're releasing in terms of the updates, but not just the updates, even the game itself, because
Mm,
we've got the PDF, the rules up there. Some people have
Yeah.
started downloading, having a look at the rules. There's opportunity to kind of discuss the rules, the layout, the clarity.
Yeah. I
People can
love
do the
how
glossary.
interactive you've made the
Exactly.
campaign for everybody. Like that's the whole point of these campaigns, and to really for us to see this midway through how interactive you know developers are from the feedback they're getting
right.
as their campaigns are going on. It's really interesting to see. What are you at? So you're at what percentage of your goal as of today?
We're at 48%.
Okay.
Okay.
48% a week in. Yeah.
Okay. And then are
We
you?
were hoping to be a bit further ahead, to be frank. But it's interesting because there's obviously more backers coming on board, but the level of pledges are getting higher and higher, and people are increasing their pledge levels. So certainly those that are on board want to see this fund,
Yeah.
and we hope we continue to see that grow.
So, for those who haven't seen your first interview with us, why don't you give us a really quick, brief overview of what Heroes of Thargos is?
Okay, so really in the out of the base set of cards, 136 cards in the base set, you can play a solo game, the solo variant of the game out of the box. There's a head-to-head player versus player constructed deck game in there as well, and we actually provide kind of starting deck lists. Some people were a little bit concerned about, is this for the hardcore deck construction gamer? It can be.
Okay.
The
Okay.
tools are there to do that. But equally, some people said we like the look of it, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to deck construction. So how do I go about doing something with that? Well, we have those starting deck lists, so people can take those out of the box. They can start playing. They can start tweaking. They can get familiar with the cards. They can swap out one of the characters, a couple of the other cards, and get used to those decks to then slowly build that knowledge of the construction.
Okay.
And
I have a
finally,
question. Actually, I have a
go
quick
ahead.
question for you.
Go ahead.
From our last interview with you, we asked you what your favorite card in the game was, and you mentioned a card that wasn't your wife's card. I want to know how much trouble did you get in for that?
Oh, wow. Well, it's one of the updates. It's today's update about my wife's card. That
Okay.
shows how important it is to all of us. And I will
Absolutely.
never get that one wrong ever again.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure you have your priorities straight.
We want to make sure you're not sleeping on the couch for too many
Absolutely.
more
Got that one
days.
ironed out, I tell you. Never again.
So, what's coming up in your campaign? Do you have some stretch goals you haven't announced yet? Do you want to talk about anything that's coming? What can people expect from the campaign? Let's get more people excited and go back your game.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple things there because the one of the first key points is the influence on the game. It's not just about backing the game and then getting it delivered in X number of months from October. It is about having that influence on the final finish of the game,
Okay.
on the packaging design. We did an update. We mentioned this in one of our interviews about, you can actually, we're going to be submitting different versions of the packaging to get people's feedback, what they like, what they don't like.
Okay.
Some people, if I just grab the packaging we have now, the prototype we have now, I mean, some people who know the setting like this, it's quite dark, it's quite gritty, and you have the other character on the reverse, the evil character.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
for some people, it's a bit of a turn-off. They're saying, well, I don't identify those heroes, and how does that work for me? So we have some other variants of the packaging artwork. we'll be putting that up for kind of feedback. The same with the rules layout. The same with some of the custom cards people can do. There's a bunch of stuff people can get involved in from that perspective. The other thing is people who get to sign up to see what's happening. There's a lot of updates we're doing. We're doing an average of 3 updates a day. Just a
Wow.
snapshot of some of the stuff we're doing. We did a behind the scenes with the lead artist, where you can see him on his graphics tablet drawing one of the pieces of art. We've done another update with step by step from sketches through to finished card. You can see the different 5 steps of the creation of the card art. We had another interview with the musician who does the music for the video, but also for the RPG. He did an interview. He did like a jamming session, so you can hear some of the music. My wife and I did a really candid, and we've had a really lot of good feedback on this. In fact, you guys were actually mentioned on that as well. But we did a really candid kind of gamer designer perspective on how we come from initial concept, we put forward our ideas, we
Yeah.
put it out for feedback, for reviews, and we've taken in so much feedback from the likes of yourselves. I mean, just people who do content creation and playtesters and stuff, and it's just taken the game a totally different level from where it was.
Yeah.
But it also demonstrates this is not the journey doesn't stop here. Jump on board, get on board as backers, follow the campaign, and get involved in helping us progress the game even further. The building blocks are there to make an even stronger game, a stronger release, and you can genuinely influence what's happening.
That's awesome. And even in the future, I mean, this is just the beginning. From what I like, this
Absolutely.
like
This is
Heroes
a
of Thargos
universe you're
is
building.
just the beginning of this universe you're building. It goes along with the RPG, the Cursed Empire RPG that you already got out.
Absolutely.
It's
Exactly. And guys, it's I was having a discussion with a Dutch reviewer yesterday, and he was talking about the card game and the mechanics, and he said, "Well, tell me about the lore and the setting." When I showed him the stuff we have that's already published, the deck, the setting, the 80 cities, the city maps, the factions, the orders, the cults, he was blown away. He said, "This is not just another card game because I have content for 10 expansions lined up, ready to
wow.
go. I have masses of material to release content." And these kind of games, because of the different play modes, the replayability, the fact you can expand the game, you can do the story mode, and I'll touch on the story mode, which is probably one of the biggest strengths of the game. You know, the setting is so rich and already out there. It's not going to happen in the future. It's already here.
Right.
That's a big draw. The other thing is touching on the story mode now, the fact you can design your own adventures with the mission cards. you know there's an example kind of story in the rules, and once again on the Kickstarter page there's a PDF download. You can see in the back of that PDF there's a mini story mode demo.
Right.
There's also one of the updates is a video of myself. There's a couple of videos there explaining story mode. I actually show the cards laid out
Okay.
and how you can really rapidly build a story. And when you take away the 4 tracks from the head-to-head mode and you look at the story mode on the table, you can then follow through the story path, each of the players competing step by step as they follow that story arc. It's like a mini RPG without the games master, and it's out of the box. It's pretty easy to do.
Wow.
You could just literally take all the mission cards, flip them upside down, shuffle them around, flip them back over, and experience the story,
Yeah.
as you go along. There's a lot of stuff you can do. It's a lot of versatility, a lot of creativity people can have. And it was interesting because I was speaking to someone who heads up a really big Facebook RPG group. Said, yeah, but card games, a lot of the guys who are into RPGs, it won't be their thing. Said, well, also for role-playing gamers, it's interesting because you haven't got the time to prepare games sometimes. They get that kind of role-playing game atmosphere without all the effort.
Right.
So it's a lot of different things for different people.
That's awesome. What is it you most want people to understand about Heroes of Thargos? What kind of questions are you getting, and like people who may be holding back on pledging? What do you want them to know?
Okay, I had a really interesting question from administrator of another large Facebook group who said, "Chris, we've seen the artwork. There's some really cool artwork. That's there. It's on display. We love some of the artwork we're seeing, but the concern is if you don't get a big funding, are you going to then downgrade the artwork
Mm.
because you haven't got all the artwork ready?" I was very candid. The artwork for the core set is fully, it's there.
complete?
I funded it. That's
Okay.
funded. So everyone needs to understand the 136 cards I've already funded the artwork for. The pledges, our target financing goal of €7,000, about 8,000 and a few dollars and a bit. That that goal there is to hit the print run, the base print run for the first edition, for the first set. That is the driver. So I've already put my neck on the line.
Right,
You saw
right,
that how I grabbed my neck last time with the card of my wife. No, but I've already invested in the artwork, the time, the effort, got all that together. Now it's just getting the print run. But the key is for us the number one thing, because we published the RPG books through conventions before, face-to-face demos, and we sold really well for an indie book. The most important thing for us is the community. And this is the thing I really want to get across to the viewers and people listening in, is the fact that the more people get involved at this stage, the more we build that community, because there are going to be some other Kickstarters after this that are going to be adding in the same setting, in the same IP, where they can
right.
reuse some of these assets, the cards, they can reuse them. And having this early, getting involved early, having that influence early, means people come along for the ride and they can have a huge impact. I'm not just saying that, I really mean that.
Yeah. And you have a really quick turnaround too. Like the Kickstarter is you're hoping to fulfill in October of this year.
Yeah,
So it's
Yes,
it's
that's
it's a really
really
fast
quick.
turnaround. How
it
how
is.
confident are you that that's going to be possible?
I mean, we're really confident because obviously the print has been identified. We have some shipping hubs ready to go in terms of fulfillment. And as I said before, in terms of the artwork, the cards, they're there.
They're done. Yeah.
One of the feedback we did have from the prototypes was that the card art was a bit dark in terms of the colors.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because it's Gamecraft, and nothing against them. They do a great job, but they take RGB files, and on the screen they look lovely and vibrant. But when they come back as a cards in the prototype, they can be quite dark.
Right.
That, for example, are things we need to get right. We'll get the CMYK proofs from the printers. I'll approve those. I'll sign them off. That's the kind of stuff I want to get fine tuned. And really stand to the finishing the packaging art. Once again, in the campaign over the course of the next few weeks, people can have their say,
Yeah.
and we hope to have that boxed off. Literally, excuse the pun, have that boxed off by the end of the campaign.
Yeah. It's lovely that the backers are all part of the game itself. So you're getting everybody to give in their feedback, their thoughts, and you're taking all that feedback and you're modifying things as people talk about it, and that's what's really great. It makes it it's a community based game. You
That's the
know.
whole idea, and
Yeah.
that's certainly from our perspective as a small player, an indie publisher. That is our definition of I'll use a French term, raison d'être of Kickstarter. That is for us. It's to kickstart an indie project to help get something along and have that involvement. It's not just about putting cash down on the table. I put cash down on the table for the artwork.
Right.
I want to grow a community. Why? Because the story mode, for example, once people start designing their own scenarios, they can share that. People can download other people's stories. And then the different gaming community, they create the content of the game. That's the biggest strength.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just provide a means. People can then do their own stories, do their own adventures, and share them.
That's awesome.
Well, what is your favorite new bit that you've added since you've started the campaign?
In terms of the updates, I think the interview we did with my wife, where we made reference to all the reviewers, all the content creators, and some of the key playtesters, and the impact it had on the game, and we gave concrete examples about accessibility for colorblind players,
Yeah.
about the luminosity, the colors of the cards, about the playability, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, a really good bit of feedback we had was, yeah, okay, Chris, you have these 4 tracks and you have the heroes and all this stuff, but you have this amazing setting. It's obvious there's something really big behind it, but why constrain the players to 4 tracks when you have that massive world to explore? And I thought, that's so damn obvious. Why the hell didn't I think of that? And you have a light bulb moment, and then you think, yeah, let's take these people to this world behind me, this
Right.
map, and let's just forget the tracks, and that's where story mode came from. That's where it came from.
That's awesome.
Also, of course, other stuff that's kind of happened in terms of the campaign. It's really interesting to see the feedback we're getting on the on the updates, and people are saying keep on releasing stuff, keep on putting out updates. We're really enjoying them. People say I've been tuning into updates every day. I put my headphones on. There was the music last night. Then we had the behind the scenes artist work. There's masses of different stuff up there. It's really varied. There's playthroughs. There's loads of stuff on the creativity on the team now, and I'm getting more of the team talking about it.
That's awesome.
You know, some of the guys are a little bit more camera shy, but it's coming through now, and they're getting really coming to the fore with this now.
So, one last thing: convince everybody to back your game again. Tell us why. Again, for people who are maybe holding back or who haven't even seen it yet, convince them why they should go back Heroes of Thargos.
Because they're going to be entering a completely different setting through the means of a card game, and they can be as engaged, as involved, as little or as much as they want. They won't miss out on the fun,
right?
But they can be involved, they can contribute, and that notion of content creation for other gamers, by gamers, for me is a major pull. And the setting, the backdrop is there. It's not about where we've done some cool graphics, some nice pieces of artwork, but it's going to take years to release stuff. I have 25 to 30 years of material right around me here. Wow. And that is the difference. It's
so we're going to be interviewing your kids, 20 years from now for that Kickstarter.
And another thing is the fact we have these pledges where you can do custom cards. You know, this is a really, really cool thing where, for example, people who've been pledging for that, they can get a character card made and custom made. We think it's really, really cool. And I have here an example. I don't know how well you can see it. We had one character made.
That's
can you see that
cool.
well or not?
Yes, that looks really cool.
So I'm just, this is, and I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna send a.
So this, you emailed something to me?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Are you serious right now?
Deadly serious. Sean, that's a big thank you. That's
Holy
a big
crap.
thank you.
Okay.
You came out of hospital. You've been through a lot of shit. To be frank, health stuff's difficult. That is your character. That's your fire mage with your three daughters, your three red-haired daughters in the emblems. If you look at the details, some serious detailing there.
Oh my god.
And
how did you know I like fire mages?
Well, there's another guy sitting on this call.
You guys.
I did a bit of homework.
You guys.
Yeah, he reached out for a little info.
That's the example of what we do, and it's just a big thank you, Sean, because you made sure my video was delivered on time. As soon as that happened, I thought I've got to do something. You know, that kind of stuff I really appreciate. We're a small player, but I just thought I've got to do something for this guy. So we got onto it. We've been on it for a week, and there you are. You'll now be a character card in Heroes of Thargos.
Amazing.
That's it.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say, Chris. This is awesome.
Yeah, so sorry, we were saying about character card creation and the fact you can custom do characters. You know, what happens there is they can basically sit with our design team, with the artist and myself. We discuss a character concept, and we then start sketching out that character, which we then do multiple iterations of, and eventually then release the character card for that person who made the pledge. And that then gets incorporated into the game, and basically the character gets immortalized in the card game. So
that's really awesome.
That's a lot of fun.
So there's definitely some pledges people should definitely check out. I mean, if you haven't seen this game yet, everybody, go check it out. The link is in the description below. Heroes of Thargos. It's on Kickstarter now. Help Chris realize his dream and get this game out. You will not be disappointed. Chris, thanks again for coming back and talking to us and giving us an update on your campaign. We are watching it with bated breath here. We're, we're still fingers crossed that it crosses the finish line.
Good.
And thanks again, Chris. Appreciate you coming back.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks.